Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Good afternoon. What's up, everybody? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, November 6th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, what's up? Happy post Breeders' Cup. A little bit different week this week for us, a little bit calmer, but that's all right. It's good to have that one in the books. Really, really good Breeders' Cup. I'm excited for the show. I'm excited to talk about it. I think we got one of the better Breeders' Cups we've had in a while, in my opinion. I just thought it was excellent.
Yeah, it kind of was all over the place for kind of leading up because you had the hype, and then you had obviously the scratch of Sovereignty, which turned out, obviously would have been great to have him in the race. Turned out the Classic did not need him in order to put on a show. We'll talk about that here in a bit. But then, then you had some unfortunate scratches on each day where you're kind of bummed by that. But, ultimately, all that aside, I thought the racing was just tremendous. The stars, for the most part, showed up in their particular races, and we had a lot of good races. Not an insane amount of just off the wall, can't believe that happened. So it made it a little bit more doable as far as like being frustrated with results. There was, the turf, I think, with Ethical Diamond is still one that I can't quite comprehend, on top of just how the horse did it. We'll talk about that one for sure coming up. But yeah, overall, kind of the ups and downs leading up to it, I thought the 2 days were fantastic. Not to mention insanely good juvenile races as well.
Yeah, I looked at it and said, the first three races, of the Breeders' Cup, they weren't all that good. And then after that, it was like, wow, the every race is amazing, So yeah, it was great. I thought the juvenile really kicked it off, that string of really just fun races. So yeah, it was every race delivered something, I feel like, too. Like great finishes or great performances, or whatever you have it. So like I said, it seemed like we were trending towards this Breeders' Cup may suck when you get the scratches, and then it didn't. It did the opposite of that. So that's great.
Well, I think I legitimately had four or five of my top picks, like the top pick of each of the race, scratch or had to be switched, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, my two best bets of each day, which one of them I think Precise, no doubt about it, would have won. And then Sovereignty was the other one. And now looking back, I'm like, I think maybe he could have won still, but that could have been questionable because that was a hell of a performance in that race. And so that's one you kind of like, well, maybe that one didn't hurt it's scratching. But all that being said, like it kind of was like, oh shit, like like you were saying, like I just need to get through this because now all these horses I like are scratching. But at the end of the day, they ran the ones we picked. We had a really profitable 2 days on the site and in the betting Bible if you guys followed along. And they, like I said, the horses they were running, man.
Yeah, for sure. It was just a fun day overall. Even a race you would lose or you're not get right. It's like, man, we saw something incredible happen. And yeah, look, I think throughout every Breeders' Cup there are races where you go, oh, I don't know if that was really that good, but overall we just had a lot less of those. I feel like than we had in years past. And look, I think the one thing you want on these big days are to come out there and when you leave, or whether you leave the track or you're done watching, go, look, it's the biggest day of the year, and we saw really, really good horses run well, and we saw it over and over. And like I said, Sovereignty scratching out of the Classic was a big time, downer for me, but then you watch that Classic back over and over, and you're like, this is what it should have been. I mean, what a great race that was. And like you said, I don't know if he wins it or not. That's how well they ran. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally, the moment that race was over, you kind of forgot about him for how, you know what I mean? Like it was enough where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that wasn't one of those, a lot of times when, the first thing we talked about after the juvenile fillies turf, you're like, well, Precise would have beat, that would have been easy. But that race, you didn't have that thought after that race. You were just like, wow, that was a hell of a performance. I would have loved to have added Sovereignty in that race to see what
Yeah.
would have happened, but there was no like that was a bummer. It could have been better with him. So yeah, totally. The classic lived up to being one of the best, and oddly enough, the top three of last year ran top three this year as well. And I thought it was very fitting as well that the best 3-year-old we had besides Sovereignty, right? Because he wasn't in the race, Journalism kind of ran fourth best, right? Behind those top 3-year-old or top older horses. So it was kind of fitting, I guess, in some regards that, hey, can the 3-year-olds, and he got beat by Fierceness earlier in the year, and it seemed like we had a very clear division of here's the 3-year-olds and here's the older horses, and they're better, although we didn't get to see Sovereignty up against those.
It was kind of interesting how that worked out because Journalism, who I thought ran a very good race,
Yeah.
he was right there and he couldn't, Sierra Leone kind of just went right by him and he couldn't really make up ground on the rest of them, kind of like Sierra Leone was. So, but he was there. I thought he got a good ride and I thought he was there with a chance. I thought he ran well, but he kind of showed the same thing he's shown to get Sovereignty. He's not good enough when it comes to that next level of really greatness, and so it was, unfortunately for him, it was put on display.
Well, what I really liked about his performance is that when you looked at, let's say, Bieza, or I know Mindframe's on a 3-year-old, but when you look at kind of Mindframe ran a good race until he didn't, and and so like they quit, right? You could tell like, oh shit, they're done. Journalism ran, right? He was running the whole way. Like I never felt like he was like quitting or I just thought got outran by 3 better horses, and like you said, it wasn't like he had to do this big late run. He was in a position, he was in like second or third as they were getting in the far turn, so he was putting he was in the spot. He just got out kicked, and there's nothing you really can say about that as far as he went. Is just like, hey, you know what? He ran a good race. Just was fourth best on that day.
Yeah, that's absolutely was my take on it as well. He ran better than Baeza, who pulled his dumb race, I guess is what we'll call it. He just has that race here and there throughout the year where you're like, what is he doing? And that's kind of what he did. Where journalism and really Sierra Leone as well, they're just robots. In a world where all the time we're done watching racing, well, they're animals. We'll see. They got a mind of their own. Those 2 horses, if they told me they're robots, I'd believe it. They just do the same thing every time. If they're good enough, they win. If not, they hit the board. So
well, I mean, and frankly, it maybe not fair to say, but Journalism more automatic than Sovereignty because he showed up every dance and in every race he even ran in. There was, the Florida Derby race where you're like kind of wondering what was that, with Sovereignty, and whereas now, granted, he had a hell of a year all year, but of course didn't show up in the biggest one here at the end. So Journalism for that purpose, it was, we always say when a horse scratches, well, they're not machines, they're animals. Journalism was about as close as it came, it felt like this year, to being a machine. As far as he just showed up every time, and even when he didn't run his best race or didn't win, he ran his he ran a good race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he deserves a lot of credit, and he's going to come back and try to run more good races, right? Try to keep winning. So it'll be fun to kind of see that and see him kind of mature. Can he take another step as he matures? I don't know. I don't know the answer. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes as well. Look, I think what we saw was what we kind of assumed. It's like, yeah, Sovereignty's in another category, and then the other ones, Baeza and Journalism, they're close, but they're not there. And it kind of got confirmed. But again, you say that they lost, he lost by like, I think it was 3 or 4 links. I can't remember. I think it was 4. And we're sitting here going, boy, these 4-year-olds ran amazing, and he was right there. So, it's just, it's a very, very impressive effort still from him.
Well, it's not a, perfect science, but if you want to make that kind of assumption, like, okay, well, he ran, like you said, 4 links, let's say, behind these horses. Well, and Sovereignty, let's say, is 3 to 4 links better than Journalism, right? On their best days. puts him in the mix, but it certainly doesn't say he's going to win either, you know? So I think that's what makes it a fascinating conversation is, yes, he probably would have been right there, but it would have been fun to see him have to dig in, which is what he would have had to do.
It would have been really interesting, wouldn't it have? It really would have. So, but we got what we got, and it was a classic, so to speak, right? And I know we'll talk about it more, but I think if you bet on Sierra Leone or Forever Young, obviously Forever Young, you're happy, but if you are a Sierra Leone backer like myself, it's like, what more do you really want him to do? You know what I mean? It's I sometimes you lose and you just go, well, I don't know what we could have done there.
He ran tremendous. He ran amazing. Yep. He really did, and he is as automatic as they come too. But yeah, all right. So we'll get into everything. We'll get into the race. So real quick because I don't want to really make this about the betting Bible, just more about the races in general. Some races will go through faster than others. Obviously, others will focus on longer. If you guys follow the betting Bible, you made money. We both had over 30% ROI for the 2 days. Friday was both bigger than Saturday, which is what we knew kind of going in. We knew we had bigger opinions on Friday versus Saturday, and those came home. Thank goodness. We'll talk about those here in a second. I believe I had about a 30-some% ROI. You had a high 30s% ROI. Both 2 days. If you combined our picks, you would have had a hell of a 2 days of racing. So it was really good all across the boards. The biggest thing that I took from it were the opinions that I did have. The biggest opinions I had, the biggest bets, same with you, that I had listed came home. And that was the biggest thing. A couple juveniles, obviously, Ted Nafi and Gastad. And then, of course, the next day you had a Nisos. That was your biggest kind of big win bet. I didn't have any huge win bets on Friday or Saturday, but I had a couple decent-sized. Notable Speech was one, and they all, ran. And so that was the biggest thing for me, because those can be killers when you have a big opinion like that and they don't win. And so that was nice. And then obviously, mix in some doubles and exactas or whatever. And it really made the 2 days very, very profitable. So, all right, without further ado, let's go through. We're going to go look at the Breeders' Cup top to bottom from the breakout stars, disappointing favorites, key performances, the big hits, the misses, what it all means for horse of the year. We'll talk about that when we get to the classic. And Halsman, as we go through it, I want you to kind of label, this was my best performance of the Breeders' Cup, or this was the biggest letdown, or the worst performance, or a favorite that you thought kind of really disappointed on. We'll go through each race, but let's not waste any more time. Let's go. Yeah, in the chat as well, guys. Let us know who was the horses that let you down, the horse that got you through, all those things. I still can't get over the turf, and it's not even, I'm not even mad about it. I'm not, I'm more like impressed with it, because it's one thing to like win by a nostril or something, and you're like, son of a bitch, really, but to do it that way was just insane.
Yeah, I agree. It was pretty wild, pretty damn wild. I still am like,
yeah,
exactly.
That's the weird. Hurdler. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't have it. It was crazy. The end just dominated. I mean,
well, that's the thing. I'm not surprised that horse won. It was a horse I had on an original ticket when Sovereignty was still running, so that was long gone, because I had Sovereignty singled, so I was going to play a lot there. But I'm not surprised the horse won, but the way the horse won was crazy good.
All right, we'll kick things off on Friday, of course, with the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. This is all thanks to the Breeders' Cup website. So if you want to go through these as well, you can on your own. But Cy-Fair wins. Not a huge shocker there. Paid $12 for the win. Brussels ran a really good second. That's a horse I liked quite a bit in the race. Finished second. Aspect Island was third. Obliteration actually ran fourth. Schwarzenegger later than planned. Lanulu, True Love, I thought was pretty disappointing in the race. Finished eighth. Intricate Spirit, I'll just run through them real quick. And then here is the replay as we go through and discuss the race. What do you think?
I mean, this race is always kind of a weird one to analyze once it's over, right? I think the big takeaway is the European horses. Havana Anna and True Love did nothing in the race, absolutely nothing. So that was a very surprising thing. But we've seen it before. We knew Schwarzenegger would go out in front. We knew he kind of was going to fade. I'm glad that Max just mentioned Brussels. I was going to mention him as well. I liked him in this spot a little bit, and he was a European horse that did fire, but he got out of the gate pretty poor, and he probably ran the biggest race of them all. But Cypher got a great trip, just sat there and took over at the top of the stretch. So give him credit. Again, like moving forward, it's always just kind of like tough going forward to know, okay, what are these horses going to do? Going forward, what really was that? It's one of those races.
Yeah, Brussels ran huge, really, considering how the horse broke out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was kind of unfortunate. An unfortunate loser there. He was the one hole here with Brussels. Just get lost all momentum. Was last. Hard to see from that angle, but kind of was left at the gate, and then really had to run his way the whole way through.
Yeah.
Just to get in a position. So it made it tough, but. Yeah, I mean, there's only not, like you say, I don't take a lot from this race. Every year I don't. It's just a tough race to analyze. Turf sprinting, juveniles. It's such a kind of an unknown factor for these horses. But one thing I will say is this is a race that early on was playing to speed, and I don't necessarily think that. And I kind of changed that trend this year because I didn't really agree with it anymore. And it's kind of showing that even though the Sci-Fair was closer. Brussels obviously closed like a freight train. I don't think that's necessarily a thing as much anymore than it was starting out.
Yeah, I think with trends or with trying to analyze this race with anything, it's still just so new. Anytime you're analytically looking at things, the more data you have, the much better you feel about things. And I know even with your trends, you're kind of like, look, this is what's been happening, but it's a small sample size. So, and it's a small sample size of, okay, what will these horses do after that just happened? You know what I mean? So, it was a race that it kicks off the Breeders' Cup, and after that, it's just you get what you get. You know what I mean? A little bit after that.
Yeah, and there was a few different, that day, of course, we were like, okay, here we go, and obviously Precise being out, you're like, and so these first two races, we'll get to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies now. You're just like, all right, and you going into it, you didn't have a ton of confidence in your picks really either, just because you knew these are tough races. Super Corridora wins here, paying almost $20 on the win for Sadler. Explora for Bob Baffert ran second. Percy's Bar third. Tommy Joe, I thought ran better than the last race, maybe if you want to, but like just obviously doesn't want to go this far. And Pletcher's even said that afterwards, like we're going to go back to one turn. Made a good effort, just then got really tired. Bottle Rogue wasn't very good. Iron Orchard wasn't good at all either. So what do you think of this race? Did it kind of live up to the, hey, this is not a great race going into it?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a race I bet a lot of money on, and you could kind of see why as they hit the stretch. And it's just like I thought Explorer was the most likely winner, and I had that horse on top, but you could just see she wasn't very good, and she wasn't making up the ground. I think Super Corridor was actually a longer price that you could get to. The race last time out was pretty good when she stretched out. I still thought she was going to get caught. And it's not a horse I use, so I'm not sitting there saying, hey, I told you so. But, you could get to that horse. The really nice improvement when they stretch out in distance. And look, the track was playing fast the 2 days. And if you got out in front, you were hard to pass in a lot of these races. And that's what happened here. I thought Explorer ran okay, just not good enough. And the biggest problem with Explorer is she's just kind of okay, right? Yeah. And kind of okay horses. Sometimes they have trouble winning Breeders' Cup races. You know what I mean? So just couldn't run her down. But again, track was playing to speed, and Super Corridor took advantage.
See, I actually think if you watch this race, like I thought Tommy Joe looked pretty good in the race until she didn't. Like I think she made it's like, okay, maybe she's running a race now, and then you could tell about right here when she's kind of in that position to go get it, she can't get to him. But all things considered, for half a second, I was like, all right, we're gonna see what Tommy Joe is, and I just don't think she wants to go this far.
Well, listen, I think John made a decent enough case for Tommy Joe. He was kind of trying to make some excuses and saying don't give up on her yet. And I thought that it made sense on the show when he was saying that. But the one thing that, we didn't really touch on is I get that she's bred to go 2 turns, but to me, she looked like she was winding up for an okay race until they realized, we have a whole stretch to run.
Yeah.
Like, if she was running 6 or 7 furlongs there, I'm not so sure she doesn't just kick on and have a chance. And I don't know. Maybe she just, I know, like I said, she might be bred to do it, but she just, the 2 races we've seen from her, she doesn't seem to want to do it. The race at Keeneland, I thought she was looking pretty good until the stretch. And that's kind of what we saw with this one too. So maybe she just doesn't want to run that far. Maybe she's not good enough, but I was with you. I thought at the top of the stretch, like, yeah, she's going to run. I don't know if she's winning, but she's going to run a race.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't necessarily, concerned about like, okay, well, it's like the worst thing you do when you like a horse or a horse starts growing on you is like when they don't fire at all. You're like, really, something like. But this one's like, hey, she made a run.
Yeah.
Gotten second or third for half a second, and then just was like, okay, shit, I can't keep going with this horse. So, look, I think she's a good horse. I do think she'll be pretty good going 1 turn. Damn. Yeah, watching that replay, it's crazy that horse didn't go down.
Oh, I know. Yeah, isn't it? I mean,
holy shit. That was the first time I'd seen that replay again, like watching that horse specifically. Golly.
Yeah, I know. And that is bad.
Like bumper cars.
Yeah. Yeah. As we know with these juvenile races, a lot of times what you see here is not what you're going to see 6 months from now. So keep that in mind. But
yeah, look, what do you make of the track? There's a lot of talk of the track. Obviously, we saw insane times top to bottom, and that's not necessarily a surprise. We see souped up tracks all the time for big race days across the country. We're fascinated with making fast times, making fast paces, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of talk of how maybe they went overboard with it. Thoughts?
It is what it is. It's Southern California, and I think you get that a lot, right? So I think you go into it if you're handicapping Santa Anita or Del Mar, and you go, okay, well, if they're on the dirt, we better be somewhat towards the front. And if you're not, you better be really, really good to win. So I wasn't surprised. We could sit here and debate, the track, this, that, and the other. And I think that's kind of what you had in mind. And if it plays different, it's kind of surprising, right?
I thought we saw it we'll talk about it here in a second, but Full Display was the classic on how their decisions to go early in that race, even though they kind of the cheap speed, so to speak. And we'll talk about that. But I thought there's like, okay, they're aware this track is very fast right now. All right, let's go back to Friday here. Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies turf, of course, had the scratch of Precise, that was a big bummer because that was a horse that I think would have been really, really tough to beat. Valentina does win. Big price of the day here, paying $43.20 on the win. Pacific Mission second. Ground Support third. This was a huge result as far as the exact and trifecta. Imagination Lady fourth. Ultimate Love, a horse that I kind of like there, finished fifth. Queen of Hawaii, a horse that I know you and I both did like. Didn't do a lot of running in seventh. Final Accord was disappointing. I'm trying to think of who else it was. Some talk there. But having kind of I think you go into that or after the result and say, all right, Precise, I think would have won this one.
Yeah, I mean, when she scratched, it's like, okay, let's start looking through these again. And it's one of those things you start handicapping, like, oh, that's why I had her as my best bet. These horses are not very good. And this was the worst one for me as far as a Breeders' Cup race goes. And I mean, I'm talking from a betting situation. I'm just talking like I didn't really care at this point. I played a small amount of money on here just to have a bet because it's a Breeders' Cup race. It's like, oh, hey, what if your opinions are right? You want to try to get a little bit of money out of it. And, but I had no confidence in this one. And Precise, I think, would have won by several, to be quite honest with you. again, this is the one that it just didn't. Here's what it was for me. A lot of the good European horses didn't come over because she was here, and then our 2-year-old turf horses, and I talked to Ryan Stillman about this earlier in the week. The 2-year-old American turf horses have not been good this year. Like where is Chad Brown? Where is Brad Cox?
Wow.
Where they don't have them, and we're kind of left with nothing. And that's kind of what this race felt like to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes to show, like, when you have a horse like Ultimate Love, not to say that it's a bad horse, but being the favorite of the Breeders' Cup. You mentioned that morning, and you're like, really? This is a horse who is where this, has been running, at Laurel?
Yeah.
And is favorite of the Breeders' Cup, and that's like, oh, okay, that says a lot about the race. And honestly, after this one, I was like, oh, shit, here we go. Because, now granted, after the precise scratch, you're like, okay, well, I mean, I don't have a lot here that I feel great about. But I did have 2 coming up, and I was like, this is not going the way I want it to go. We need to get back. And to be honest, like, kind of to put it in, like, to categorize it, I guess, is like the way I had it structured was basically just in terms, if you want to say $100 base level bets, I had Precise as my top play of the day, $100 bet. I had 50 on Ted Nafi as far as a win, and Gestad was 40. So that kind of puts the order or the ranking of my confidence of each one. Those are my top 3 plays. Of course, 2 of them won. And that's and Gestad was dominant, by the way, of that performance. And I had half as much confidence as, based on betting that I had on Precise. So I do think Precise would have been very, very dominant here.
Yeah, it feels like it. Well, watching it back, it just felt, I don't know. It just felt to me, it's like, I don't think these horses are running very well. You know what I mean? I just don't think they're running very well. And I was with you to the extent of, I was not frustrated that I missed the race or anything, but it was just kind of like, gosh, I think I would have had that race easy. Where after the Classic, I'm like, maybe it's good thing Sovereignty scratched. You know what I mean? Where in this race, it's like, oh, geez, she would have won that. And it's a missed opportunity. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just don't like this European horse that wins. I don't know what Valentina really is. Didn't look like much to me on paper coming into it. Maybe she's going to get better or whatever. Or this was her coming out party. But for me, I don't know. I couldn't take much from it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good effort. I mean, it looked good visually. But, yeah, I didn't take a lot from this. But, all right, so we knew after this one, I'm like, all right, Juvenile's up next. My 2 biggest plays now with no Precise. 2 biggest plays, Ted Nafi and Gestad. We got to get going here. We got to get going. We got to make a big performance here. Ted Nafi versus Brandt. That was the test. And dude, this one, I'm telling you, this one set the stage for the next race and really the big performances of the Breeders' Cup. I felt like after that, I was like, all right, we're on.
It definitely woke me up. I was sitting here on Halloween watching this going, man, this isn't very good. And then this race certainly changed all that. Ted Nafi, just an excellent effort. A lot to unpack out of the race, honestly. This is a horse that kind of hit cruise control in the stretch. He kind of ranges up. You'll see it here in a second. He ranges up, and it's like, oh, man, is he going to win this thing by 4 or 5? And how excited am I to watch this? This is going to be great. And then he hits the idle button, and these horses come back to him. And then he kind of gets a reminder, and he just shoots off away from him again. So the margin of victory here is a little deceiving. I will say this. I don't know what Brandt is. I don't think he's very good, honestly, going 2 turns. Mr. AP, just a maiden winner. I don't know what this field was. I don't think it's great. But Ted Nafi did what he needed to do. I thought, again, margin of victory wasn't that impressive, but the way he won was pretty impressive to me. I think he's still got growing up to do, right? I think we saw it, but you can kind of just keep building on him. He's got, obviously, he's got a big time future.
This was just, it's like all the way around the track. It was like, all right, this is what we wanted. The 2 Brandt versus Ted Nafi, your 2, your 4 to 5 on Ted Nafi, 8 to 5 on Brandt. I do think that not having another race under his belt, this being his first 2-turn test for Brandt, wasn't great for him. You know, I don't think it did him any favors. You know, that being said, I don't think it was going to change the result because right here, you're like, oh, this is going to be Ted. And Ted Nafi is just cruising, right? There's no whips, not out. It's not, you know, this horse is just all right. See you later. This is about to be a, you know, three length win or so. And then you're like, oh shit, this horse is idling, and Brandt's getting, and then okay, never mind, we got this. So, you know, I think a horse that's still learning, a measured length at best is the easiest way to put it. But this is a really good horse. Like, and he's already said, and we kind of knew this going in. We talked about it, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. You know, Florida Derby, one race before. That's you know, so you're basically talking, let's say, Fountain of Youth, Florida Derby, Kentucky Derby. Those are the next 3 starts for Ted Nafi.
Yep, yeah, we've seen him do it. He'll take the Fierceness route. That's kind of what he did. I think Fierceness did Holy Bull, Florida Derby, Kentucky Derby, but yeah, that's what he'll take. And yeah, look, he's gonna look good in those races right now, and he's just kind of head and shoulders above the crop at the moment. What I'll say is, I really don't think we've seen the best of this crop yet. Now he may end up being. I have a feeling there's some unraced horses that are going to show up eventually that kind of are going to end up being the main challengers for him. And we'll see if he can kind of fend off those horses because the crop looks a little light to me right now. And yeah, you put that comment up. Jeff Bauer said, any concern of the 3 and the 6 closing so hard on Ted? And again, yes and no. Yes, because they were able to close on him because he stopped running. And then no, because they wouldn't have been able to close on him if he didn't stop running, as is apparent when he gets to the finish line. So it depends on how you look at it, Jeff. I think from a talent standpoint, he was much more better than what you saw of those horses. But from a mental standpoint, that'll get you beat. Well, let's pretend Mr. AP was a better horse. You get beat because when you wake up, it's too late, right? Yeah. So it's yes and no is the answer to that.
Yeah, because right here, you're worried, and as far as like, but then as soon as he re-engages, you know, they're really not gaining on him as much anymore. You know what I mean? And so once he gets back going, the lengths, it was a closing like 2 lengths, length and a half length, and then once they got close to him, the length stayed. You know, and so it was like measured, like I said, but visually at the stretch, you would think it's somewhat concerning.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think, like, watching it live, I thought, oh my God, did he just get tired? Like, because it's like he looked like he dropped anchor. And I'm like, oh no, this is bad. This is really, really bad. And then it's like, oh no, he lost focus. And again, that's not the greatest thing to lose focus, but it is a good thing that he was able to kind of regain it and kind of take off from him again. But again, he's not like, oh, this is a lock, forget about it. You like, to me, there's got to be some horses out there that are a little bit better that will come up and really give him more of a challenge.
Yeah, and I made this comparison like a couple weeks ago with Forte. Yep. It was almost fitting because who was the horse that with Forte faced the Baffert?
Cave Rock,
and it was very very similar kind of going in. And I think as long as Ted Nafi, now again, like who knows, there could a handful of horses for sure between now and then that could emerge, but just based on who he's trained by, what he has done on the track, I mean, whether in just kind of the maturity level of growing, this horse is stay healthy. He's one of the top 3 choices in the Kentucky Derby. Like he just will be, And now what happens between now and then with other horses, that's obviously, and then what happens actually, Forte didn't even run in the race, unfortunately due to the scratch, but he will get there as long as he stays good.
Well, Samich asked me this today, and I chuckled. He goes, okay, I mean, obviously Ted Nafi, he's number 1. Who's number 2? And we're like, I have no clue. He goes, exactly. There's got to be something out there.
Yeah.
That we haven't seen yet.
We have not, because Brandt is the best one of the West Coast, I guess. And that's, I mean, he didn't even finish in second, right?
No.
Who knows how he'll stay healthy? What's Ted Nafi kind of annihilated the East, Kentucky, and so I don't know. There's got to be. That's a great question because I don't know the answer to it. So.
Is it like Ewing? Like that might be a horse to think about. I mean, had a lot of hype. Is he not healthy? Maybe he gets. I don't know. Or is it somebody that we don't even know their name? Yeah,
it's probably a horse that he's not even made a start yet. Still in the barn in the morning working out, or a horse that is still maiden somewhere that hasn't raced or hasn't won a race or something like that. We're seeing it more and more. Like Shotty says, we're seeing it more and more. These horses are becoming late. Either hasn't ran a race or is Sovereignty. By the way, was still figuring it all out, and I think that's or making their starts well into their 3-year-old year.
Now, the difference with that is, though, he may have still been. I don't remember when he won that race at Churchill as a maiden. He broke his maiden in a stakes, but everybody kind of had that horse on their radar. Like, even when he was a maiden, they're like, that is going to be a good horse, and they stretch him out. There isn't, for my money right now, there isn't a maiden out there where I feel that. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. And even if you want to say Brant is like, hey, that was, and I think there's argument like, hey, given that was a good education for him, first race like that, going to like he learned maybe, he maybe gets better, a little more tighter, sure. But same time, I don't know. It's tough to say, hey, he can turn the tables on Ted Nafi. And I also don't trust that he can be healthy long term, for a race or a horse that's already missed a race. You don't love. And so
I would say this. Think of all the trips where horses got leads at Del Mar on the dirt and think of what they did, and then go watch what Brant did and tell me that horse is very good. I mean, it's very, you can't shut the door on him on one race, but with the trip that horse got, he should not have finished any worse than second.
And honestly, the fractions weren't comparable. What we saw on the dirt weren't insanely fast that for that race. And so you would have thought he could have held on to that.
Yeah. To me, it's like when he runs 2 turns again, he has a lot of proving to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Like he's going to have to show me something before I'm kind of back in the camp of even a thought that he could do something.
When he runs 2 turns again, it'll probably be against 4 other Baffords and in a 5-horse field. So
it's fair.
It's possible we may still not learn anything when he runs a 2.
More than fair. More than fair.
All right. Last race of Friday was the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and we got to answer that Ted Nafi win with another big-time performance, and this one was a no-doubter about it. Gestad for Aiden O'Brien. Aiden tying that record. It was to tie, right, with that one?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he tied with that, and I thought that was a pretty cool moment as well. But for the Breeders' Cup wins, but Gestad wins, paid $440. Yeah, after the race, I was like, damn, I think I should have played it for more because this was just a no doubt about it kind of performance, and it was what you hope to see from him. And I think also like having Precise that same card originally, you're like, I don't like this horse as much as I like Precise. But my goodness, that 14 hole made no difference for the horse.
No, he was just much the best. A fantastic effort here, and I think the big thing. It was kind of twofold for me. I liked Precise a little bit more, and I also really didn't like the horses Precise was up against. Where Stott had some. I didn't love these horses either, but I thought it was a little bit better group. But no, I mean, the post didn't bother him because he was much, much, much the best. He didn't need a trip really to get the job done. He just kind of needed, hey, don't get him stopped and don't do something just dumb to impede him. Just kind of keep him out in the open. And if you lose some ground, I think it's going to be okay. And he ran the race like that. I mean, this was a world-class horse, and I really think Precise would have done the same kind of thing. And I think you're looking back on Friday, even though it was the last 2 races were really good, but the last 3 could have been really good. But he just did his thing. Like they kind of rode him like, yeah, he's the best horse of the race. Just let him do his thing, and he did. He just kind of dominated. And you see this point of the race, it's like, yeah, he's gonna. Like I was watching Holmes going, yeah, it's over. Race is over. There's no way he's not kicking on from here.
I know it's not automatic, but it might as well be, because I just feel like anytime an Aiden O'Brien horse has that kind of look in the turn where they're like cruising up, and it's not like they're just cruising up, you're like, oh, this is over.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna be out, out kick this horse. Like it's Aiden O'Brien on the turf and this horse is just cruising. It's like, oh, and I know it's like there's different circumstances, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, like you said, start walking to the windows. We got this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you don't see them not fire when they get to that spot. I totally agree with you. Once they get to the spot, you feel pretty good about it, unless they're mini hawk and have had a weird trip, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, right here, like you said, it's like, okay, got it. Yeah. Never mind. 14 holes, not an issue. And that's why I think that goes, this is a good, learning example as well. It's like, why? This is why we don't take, it's like, yeah, sometimes the 14 hole or whatever is like, oh, that's an issue. By the way, the 8 did run a really good second in this race.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, this is why you can't think about it too much when it comes to these post positions. Like, oh no, it's going to be critical. Well, not really, because the 14 hole didn't become such an issue about I don't know, 20 seconds into the race, and obviously the horse is like, who cares where the horse broke from? Look where he's at.
Well, what I always say in these situations, if you are sitting there and you truly are looking at this going, I don't know, I'm trying to decide between 2 or 3 horses, well, then take that into account, because that little things, in your opinion, the way you're looking at it, little things like that could make the difference in this race. Like, boy, if he's hung 3 or 4 wide here, there's a horse here that's drawn, like, let's say the 5 hole, who looks just as good and might get a better trip. And you may be right, you may be wrong, but still, that's the way you got to look at it. Where in a situation like this, if you're sitting there going, well, this horse is way the best, who cares then at that point? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
All right, let's move to Saturday now. And we'll kick things off here with the Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint Splendora for Bob Baffert. This horse was pretty damn awesome here. Hope Road does not win. It looked like a clear horse had a shot there. Finished 3rd. Baba finished 2nd, but Splendora wins the race. Richie did not run well. Hall Nice, Crane, these horses did not run great. But listen, you had Splendora. I can't remember if you had it on top or not, but I know you used. What do you think of this race?
I mean, it was pretty much the Bob Baffert Del Mar Invitational after all the scratches, right? I mean, they pretty much handed it over to him. I used Splendora on the double, and look, I thought she ran a very, very large race. She was just kind of biding her time, and she wound up there and spun out towards the outside, towards the top of the stretch, and just mowed him down. She was a horse that had a huge last win, looked really good, and had been working out extremely well. And she ran to the works. I mean, she just ran a huge, huge race. But again, this was one you don't really go, oh my gosh, this was amazing, because it kind of just turned into Bob Baffert's race.
Yeah, this was one of those instances where the scratches helped me, because I didn't have Splendora as high as I did. I think I had her 2nd after all the scratches. I reworked some things. I don't think Sweet Azteca would have won this race. I thought this was a pretty good performance by Splendora. The pace just completely melted down, and gosh, this horse just ate up the ground late in this race. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Hope Road was very good.
No,
here either. That's made it look better, I think, for Splendora. But listen, wins the Breeders' Cup race by 5-6 lengths. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I thought Hope Road would run a lot better and didn't. And, that's the Baffert. I use both the Bafferts, or the 2 top Bafferts there. And, it wasn't good. I mean, Vava was a horse that we kind of thought the best might be behind her. And, I mean, she gets up and gets 2nd. So,
well, I was disappointed with, I played both Baffert horse. Like, I played Richie and I played Hope Road. I was like, well, one of these, just the way the track has been playing, and the way I was like, oh, definitely one of these horses will stay on, It's Bob Baffert, and for both of them to quit, obviously Richie quit something fierce, and Splendora to sit off and kind of take advantage. It kind of ran. Now I had Splendora as third, but it kind of was the opposite of what I was expecting, especially for as good as Hope Road has been on the front end.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Hope Road was in good shape for most of that race, and it just sucked basically. I will say one other thing, because I'm sorry, this deserves a lot of criticism. And this is a guy that people love, and they love to pat on the back. An all-time horrific decision. And I can say it because we said it before the race and at the draw. Why did Mandela not run Copian there? I mean, just crazy, psychotic behavior in my opinion there. Yeah, I know you had Tamara. Who cares? Copian is your horse, right? Tamara had one race of a long layoff, and it's like, oh, we got to split them up. No, you don't. They're not like that. So Copian not running in the race was the first blow to it, because there's one of your top ones, and then Sweet Azteca, scratching, which hell, that horse can't stay healthy either. There was blow number 2. So I don't know what the hell he was doing or thinking. It's just all-time stupid decision.
Yeah, the only thing I don't think it was the right thing, but the logic of at least what I imagine I assume was, does it mean that they thought like Tamara was gonna roll? You know what I mean? Like, why split? Like, why have like Tamara in this one, Copian and against the boys? Because Copian or Tamara's obviously not going to run against the boys. Copian's been running this year and been running pretty well. So I don't know. I can't figure out, because I wouldn't have put either one of them in the sprint and just stuck it in the race they belong in, which is that one.
Here's the deal. And I get the logic in that, and what you laid out is probably what he was thinking, right? But just because you've got a horse and you think, oh, this one's going to roll, you don't take your other horse and put it in that kind of position.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, why don't you run them both? I mean, why would you try to put Copian over here against the boys, which she's never done, going 6 furlongs, which I don't think's her best game. I don't understand why you would. That just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I didn't get it when he did it. I thought, well, that's crazy. But then, in the back of your mind, you're like, well, look, if he wins it, we're the ones looking dumb, but it's like, it never made sense.
All right, this was a good one here. The Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. She's So Spicy wins. It's paying $12.60. AG Bullet finished second. Nice performance. And Kadam, whatever. I thought that horse ran really well. The 9-year-old finished good third there. Ate up a bunch of ground late. Reef Runner was fourth. Notorious, I believe, went off the favorite. Finished fifth. Invincible Papa, the Japanese horse, was sixth. But another not necessarily tough one to get to, similar to the last race, but also not like this race didn't leave you like, oh, this is awesome,
Yeah, for sure. I thought this was a really good effort by the winner. Just kind of a dominant, get out in front, we can't get you type of thing. Arizona Blaze scratch. That's a horse I kind of liked, and I think the story of this race was She's So Spicy beat AG Bullet to the front.
Never looked back.
And that was kind of it, right? If you flip the trips, it's probably AG Bullet that gets the victory. I thought AG Bullet ran just fine, just couldn't get to. And look at this down the stretch. I mean, this horse just went to the front and kept going, got a great trip, good on IRAD to get the job done there. So again, there's not a whole lot to break down there. Too. What's that?
They were flying.
They were. Yeah, they were. That horse, and look, D'Angelo has another one we're going to talk about. They just held that speed, and he kept it very simple. Get to the front, hold on.
Yeah, and this was, dude, yeah, talk about having a good day. So when this race happened, you're like, okay, that's great. Now I need you to do it again, Mm-hmm. We need one more from you in this one, and thankfully we got it home. But yeah, Jose had a hell of a hour here on Saturday.
Well, yeah, he kind of, with the turf sprint and the regular sprint and even the juvenile sprint on Friday, kept it simple. Get those horses out to the front. Get them to the front. If you're going fast, whatever, just get them in a spot. and it worked out. Now you obviously have to have the horse, but there were good rides, I thought, from him.
Yeah, next race, Breeders' Cup Sprint. There you go. Same connections, really. And he does it again with on the dirt, this time with Ben Tornado. This was just really, really good. Paid $540 to win. Imagination, kind of silenced me in some regards because I thought it was a joke. I didn't like this horse and finished second. Dr. Ventman third. It was there's Copian finishing fifth, was non-threatening, never mentioned. Fifth. Nakatomi down the Mulligan was not good. That was the last race. Banishing, not good. But this was really, this race kind of felt like it was one of those, it was always a 10, and I didn't think about who else was in the race.
Yeah, now in Copian's defense, she did get a horrible post position. I would not want to bet on the rail, and she didn't get a great trip. So it's not like she ran awful, but again, you got a horse qualified for a race, so she's going to be the favorite. Run the damn horse in the race. Okay, so you get to this one. Ben Tornado, this was a powerful performance is how I would describe it, because it's another race where they're going fast, and he's got company, and he's got the defending champion breathing down his neck and all this stuff, and he's got imagination. Like you said, he looked like he was running a monster, and he did run a monster range at the top of the stretch. Ben Tornado just said, forget it. He just kicked on again and got the job done. And what's funny with me,
they were flying.
Churchill Downs in his last race, which is his first race since last Breeders' Cup, I was against him. And I watched him that day, and I said, oh, my God, he's better than he was last year. You shouldn't have been against him. And I ended up playing him here after betting against him, and I think that was an ungraded race at Churchill last time out. That's why it's always important to have an open mind, watch the races, don't get locked in. And boy, when they turned for home, I thought, yeah, that's the Churchill race plus a little bit better. And I knew he could win if he could do that again. So this was one of my favorite performances.
This was a big one. This race to me was like the for me, this bit like for Breeders' Cup, and also my betting for both Friday and Saturday. So Fridays was Ted Nafi, and that was like, all right, we're back. We're here. That was a performance. This race on Saturday was what did it for me here.
And I think another thing that kind of, as I was watching this race, I know your trends, and it's hard to win this race in the front. I mean, that's the trend, right?
Yeah.
And to see him kind of do this, buck that trend, when they asked him the question, there was never a doubt. It charges you up, right? Whether you bet a lot on him or a little on him, it just kind of gives you that, oh yeah, that was a big performance. And I was right on that. Right here, it's like, okay, let's see what happens. Oh, and then like at this point, it's like, oh no, he's gone. It's fine.
Well,
so.
And I think it goes to show like the trends are what they're there. They're helpful, but at the same time, they're not life and death. They're not, black and white.
Yeah.
I put together the trends. I studied the trends. My bet in this race was the 10,
Right.
So like, it's not, I use them to help me. So here are this trend. And that's why it's just two times. Re-raise in 98, 2010, big drama. 2 times in the last 27 years has a horse win gate to wire. And I guess now 3 in 28 years, but it doesn't happen, and it doesn't mean like winning's only 2 of the last 11 runnings. Run Happy, Elite Power. These are horses that tried to do it. Favorites have also struggled, winning only 2 of the last 11 runnings. Run Happy, Elite Power, elite horses. So not only to be the favorite and win, also to do it gate to wire, super rare to happen. We've seen good horses do it. Doesn't mean they're not close to the pace, but horses trying to go gate to wire doesn't happen. So he bucked some trends there and looked really good doing it.
Yeah, no, you said it. It's very much those trends are helpful, but you still, like, when you get into this situation, you got to go with what you see on paper. I'll never forget, John White and the strike system was always such a talking point, and it still is a talking point. And we were talking to him about Justify, and and hadn't raced as a 2-year-old and all this stuff. And he basically, I think Justify had a couple strikes. I don't remember how many strikes, but he was in a category where John usually wouldn't pick the horse.
Yeah.
And he just said, look, you can have all this stuff, But when you watch races, you've got to analyze talent, and you got to go with, look, who's the most talented horse? Who I think is going to win? Because it's him every single time. And I think that's the thing. Great horses or great performances, either or, can buck anything, right? Like Pretend Forever Young doesn't run all that well. Going into the Classic, it's like you can't close. But a great closer can buck the trend, and he almost did. And again, the trend got bucked there because Ben Tornado has 2 now back-to-back exceptional races in a row.
Yeah, and these horses, again, to go back to what we said earlier, they're not machines, and they don't care about what the other horses have done. They're going to run that race, and again, I looked at it and said, well, even though that pace, it doesn't mean it doesn't ever happen. It means it rarely happens, and he's the best horse in the race. So it's pretty simple. That's why I went there. But all right, so let's go to the distaff. And to me, I'll put this down as, and I don't know if it's fair to do because the horse clearly had a little bit of issues. Maybe, I don't know. I never heard really if the horse came out okay, but Seismic Beauty is going to be my disappointment, my worst performance of the day from a favorite. Just got pulled up, basically. I think finished second to last. Jin was last. Seismic Beauty was not good whatsoever in the race. Nitrogen ran second. And then I don't know why it's in different order, but Regal third. And Celia, this horse, dude, this horse ran unbelievably good.
Yeah, so sometimes you get lucky as a handicapper, and I definitely feel a little bit of luck here. This was a big double to me. I had Ben Tornado into Scylla here for the double, and this was kind of one of the long shots that I liked best. And here's what happened basically. Seismic Beauty takes a little bit of a bobble or a stumble or a bad step early in the race. Put that back real quick. Right there. So
this horse right here, the 8 horse, you can see it right there.
Right there. And so, in my opinion, I think obviously the jockey felt that, and I think he did not push her to that desired position as being in front. And that changed it all. And Junior Alvarado, who is a monster, what a jockey this guy is, he knew, look, horses are going gate to wire. I've got a horse that's been working tremendously well. Let's change it up. Let's just put her to the front. And he gets the lead. And all of a sudden, my long shot is in the spot where the favorite should be and does what the favorite, quote unquote, should have done. Again, I think the jock got a little bit spooked on Seismic Beauty because that was a bad step. No question about it. And he just said, well, let's just take her around here and see what happens. But again, Scylla gets the trip here. I, at this point in the race, was super nervous because this is a major cash getting ready to happen if she can hold on. And the times were fast, but she was well within herself in a really good spot. You see right there, Junior Alvarado got the hold on her, tight hold, not asking her for anything. It's like, all right, well, you're going to have to fend off Nitrogen, and you can do it. Trust me, you can do it. Just do it. That's what I'm telling her at this point of the race. It's like, trust me, he couldn't pass Jin, or she couldn't pass Jin. She can't pass you. And then right here, it's like, all right, we got it. I'm good. So,
I mean, just a dominant effort. Look at this stretch run. I mean, she just opens up on this field. And, for a horse that has always ran well, but not really to this style, just to do what she did again. I mean, look at this thing.
Yeah.
Just pouring it on late, and props to Nitrogen, to the horse that started off on the turf and now on the dirt, and has ran some good races on the dirt, and really, even though lost there, second in the distaff is nothing to be upset about. But man, you're right. That was just some kind of performance, and I think the disappointing factor. Now, again, all things, I don't know if the horse was, if the horse wasn't hurt, it was hurt in some regards or whatever. But the backing the 8 here was so disappointing with the results, because in a day where you're like, listen, even going like, hey, you're like, hey, if today plays like it did yesterday, the horse who I think might benefit the most as far as like throughout the day is probably Seismic Beauty. She loves to go to the lead. She's fast. She'll put this field to sleep, right? And to her not even be on the lead on the track that you need, you know what I mean? Like, so all those things kind of compounded, and you're like, son, really, this is the opposite of what I thought was going to happen with this horse.
Well, yeah, and that's, you described horse racing in a nutshell right there.
Yeah, right.
Because a horse did do what you thought Seismic Beauty would do, and probably was aided. I won't even say probably was aided by the track, and yeah, so it did happen. Just the wrong horse. Yeah, I know it's very frustrating, and I think you gotta Wasilla. You just hats off to Bill Mott. I mean, he did it again. Like, you know. Stretched this horse out, didn't run very well, but wasn't awful. And then in the prep race, and then like all you heard was like, man, this horse is working great. This horse is working great. And he got her to the big effort. And again, props to Junior Alvarado, man. He just he broke well. He knew he had a loaded horse. He said, we're going and let's do it. So what a team, Alvarado and Mott. Great team.
Yeah, it's a good thing Torpedo Anna didn't try to run this one. So it would not have gone well. And, I don't think this was a very good distaff. We knew that going in. I think it kind of showed that here as well. But I do think she did run exceptionally well, the winner, that is. I think otherwise, I think the race kind of lived up to what we thought maybe going into it as far as just kind of average horses for a distaff anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But she wasn't that day. The winner was awesome.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the most. I mean, listen, I have for my best performances these next two races, and that tells you a lot for a horse that it paid almost $60 to win, and that's the 14-horse Ethical Diamond, who all going in, it was between it's Rebels Romance or it's Mini Hawk. Which one is it? Mini Hawk, Rebels Romance. Who's winning? Mini Hawk, Rebels Romance. Rebels Romance kind of did his end of the deal here, finishes second. A horse that's won this race multiple times. He kind of ran his race, for lack of a better word. But Mini Hawk will questionable ride and effort there for Mini Hawk. But who cares about either one of those two? Because Ethical Diamond, the horse who ran most of his career hurdling, ran by a world-class group like they were standing still to win the Breeders' Cup Turf.
Yeah, this is one you could watch, all the time. Just an unbelievable effort here from Ethical Diamond. And like I said, we were live on the show, or on our live show, and I was like, okay, this horse on the outside is 1,000% going to win, running 2-1 compared to the rest of this as far as stride goes. What number is it? Who is that? I can't, I couldn't see who it was, but I knew it was the winner. Yep. And finally, you could see, okay, that's the 14's, saddlecloth. And then, Ethical Diamond, huge effort. Rebels Romance, I think you said it best. I thought got just a, the kind of the trip you thought he'd get from the rail. He ran okay, got second. I mean, unbelievable. But, just could not hold off. A monster effort. And, Mini Hawk, a horse that was just unsettled. It got a pretty rough trip because they just couldn't get her to do what they really wanted her to do. Wide the whole time, up a little bit too close for what she wants to do. You can kind of see her on the outside there. She's headstrong.
Yeah.
They're trying to fight her, but they're also trying to let her do what she wants. And she turned for home with the lead. And you could probably tell in our voices, you go back and watch, it's like, that is not where she needs to be. This is not going to go well for her. But, Ethical Diamond, holy cow, what a performance.
Yeah, and there was even talk after the race from the rider, Simeon, that, the horse, she wanted to go. She couldn't get her to settle. And whether you believe in that or bad ride or whatever, but the way it looked on the tracks, like she can't settle. And I think he finally got to a point where it's like, all right, listen, I'm going to stop fighting her and just let her go. And hopefully, I think you just hope that she puts on like a wow performance, right? And it's just, you can't catch her or whatever. You might as well let her run, because this is not working what we're doing. Because it was the opposite of what I thought going in. Is like, hey, Rebels Romance is going to get the jump on her, and it's going to be a matter of can she come get him. And the opposite happened. At this point, you're just like, all right, well, here we go. Let's see if she's good enough. She wasn't, but right here, like you said, I'll back it up just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, because here's the winner right here. And even though we have the horse in front, and we also have Rebels Romance. So those are the two you're watching. So you're like, all right, your mind goes from, all right, Mini Hawk, get home. Where's Rebel? Oh shit, who's this on the outside?
Yeah.
That's kind of the thought process that you have watching this.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because what happened for me was I'm watching Mini Hawk, and I knew turning for home, she was going to have a lot of trouble. And then, so what I did was start to scan back, and I saw Rebels Romance, and then I started to scan back, and I'm like, oh, well, here's the winner. I don't know who that horse is, but because I can't see the cloth, but that's the winner of the race.
Yeah.
Without any doubt. Rebels Romance has no chance. This horse is just gobbling up the ground. So yeah, it's funny. For a split second, I thought, oh, there's Rebel. He's in good shape. And then I was like, oh, no, race over.
Yeah, and I think that the most insane part of this thing is not that it was twofold, really. Is how good the horse ran, but also Rebels Romance did not run bad, right?
No.
It's not like, okay, if Rebel doesn't show up because he's done this, maybe he's just getting tired, and Mini Hawk isn't what we thought, which kind of turned out to be there. This horse could win, right? It's an insane race. Anything could happen. But for Rebel to run his race and still get beat the way he did by this horse is just, it's hard to comprehend. Like, because I think anybody that backed this horse or used this horse, you go to the logic of, hey, if something weird happens and Rebel doesn't run his race, maybe this horse can win, right? But you don't go into it saying, hey, Rebel's going to run his race and I'm still going to use this. You know what I mean? That's the part that's like hard for the brain to comprehend.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what's kind of crazy is this is a horse that I had kind of said, I'm going to use this horse on a ticket, and then Sovereignty scratched, and it's like, well, there goes my single. Now we'll talk about if he would have won or not. But and then it's like, well, I gotta just go the 1-8 here. They are the two most likely, because I need more coverage in the next race. So you pull this horse off the ticket. And when I did it, I was like, I probably didn't need to use Ethical Diamond anyway. You know what I mean? They're like, that's probably all right. And that backfired. But you're right. The thing about it is, if Rebels Romance runs like fifth and Mini Hawk's there in sixth, you do go, well, hell, that's anybody's race at that point. But Rebels Romance finishing second in this race, I thought would only happen if Mini Hawk was first.
Yeah.
So, and look, you said it, he ran fantastic. He just wasn't able to hold off this, just a freak, amazing performance.
Well, I mentioned it even, if you remember in the live show, like before they were loading, I was like, hey, I feel like if you're going to use one of them, whether it be Mini Hawk or Rebel, like key him, it's like to key in second, it's Rebel, because the reason being, because I think Mini Hawk is either going to win or maybe doesn't run as, more likely for that to happen. And definitely didn't assume it would be Ethical Diamond to win and Rebels Romance keyed in second. But I don't know. That's just it's one of those races that it cost you money, didn't have, whatever. But you also, it's not like you got nailed at the wire by a nostril and it's just the most insane beat and you're just like sick about it. This was one of those where you're just like, holy shit, like that was awesome. Like that was a really good performance. Of course they don't have the Breeders' Cup Classic. Let me pull up the classic here. It's like the biggest race here of the whole thing. Forever Young winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. Let me pull up the replay. What do you think of this race? We talked a lot about it already, I know, but this is a horse that has just has traveled all over the world in different races. Has not been as good over here, arguably. It has been overseas. And Japan, after a disappointing result for them, I'm sure last year with Forever Young not winning the race, comes back with him. And just they did it. They got it done. And not only did they get it done, he ran unbelievably good.
Yeah, all true. This is my performance of the Breeders' Cup without any doubt. I thought what he did was amazing. And if you listen to John White, he laid out the fact that he thought he would do this, and he did. He came back and look. I don't know how you measure this race versus what happened over at Saudi, but I'm going to tell you, that's the best race he's ran in the United States by a wide margin. He ran much better this year than he did last year in this race, much better than he did in the Kentucky Derby, and he ran okay in both of those. But this race was freaking awesome. Just an all-world type of a performance. He shows just how good of a damn horse he is winning this race. I was just blown away by it. Absolutely blown away by how well he ran here. And look, he had to. That's the other thing. This race was not handed to him. Sierra Leone ran his biggest race, in my opinion. Fierceness ran very well. Forever Young was just better. Awesome performance.
What I thought was so amazing about this performance, amongst a lot of things, was well, maybe a little further, but you have the rabbit, contrary thinking out there, and like I said in the opening, these jockeys, and we talked about this as the race is building up, what they would do, made it a very big decision here of like, hey, we're not going to let this thing get away from us. Like, we are going to be forwardly placed. And, a lot of the talk was, what will Japan do after last year kind of beating the thought of the talk was, hey, we got too close to the pace and that pace ate us up. And will they back up? Will they do the opposite this time? And they went right at it again, man. And they went right after what is cheap speed, and the race was not slow whatsoever. I thought it was a tremendous decision and even a better ride on Forever Young's jockey to keep Fierceness pinned in between and behind Contrary Thinking. Like, he got to dictate terms on Fierceness, the other, the biggest threat probably in their minds, got to dictate terms of where they were at in the race versus where Fierceness was at. And I thought that was the biggest difference maker for, especially against Fierceness in this race.
There's no question. I'm glad you said it. He pinned him. He got him pinned.
Look where he's at now. All of a sudden, the stablemate for Fierceness is in where Fierceness wants to be. Right. He's in first or second right there with me in mind frame with Forever Young. And now all of a sudden Forever Young or Fierceness is eating dirt back there with Journalism.
Yep.
And now he's got the jump on him.
Yep. It was classic to keep him pinned and get that spot. And now you got position. Now you still got to be better. You still got to be a really good horse because they're going to come after you here. But you've got, the first part of it, you've got it down. You've got position here. Johnny V is looking for a way around already. And there's just kind of a wall of horses. And Forever Young's just going to keep him kind of pinned down amongst other horses here as well. So I thought right here at the top of the stretch, it's like my thoughts were, here we go. You got Forever Young in the lead. Fierceness looks like he's going to run. You got Sierra Leone starting to bear down. Journalism's right there. I thought he ran an improved race as well versus last few. And it was just Forever Young. Look at him just dig the frick in. He just dug in because, listen, that is not easy holding off Sierra Leone the way he was running. He dug in and got it done, man. That was so impressive.
God, Sierra Leone is he's a freight train, man. When he look, he's right here. And by the way, look, this is the whole field right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. They're all within what, 5-6 lengths of each other almost.
Mm-hmm.
All piled together. Like, even right here, you're like, this could be anybody's race. If someone wants to fire a huge race from in the back. Journalism's up closer now. Bieza, he's trying to make a run there, but Contrary Thinking is saying the hell with this at this point. But for a horse like they went 110, they went 40. Well, I don't know what the second was. It was fast.
45 and change, yeah.
For Forever Young to be quote unquote pinned inside, but he's inside of horses. A lot of times you get inside of horses on insane fractions and the horses start getting up on you. Bad things happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just get sucked under, the horse quits, whatever. And he just freaking battled, man. Like he, like you said earlier, he earned it. He didn't go out there and give it to him. He had to earn this the whole way around. And this dude ran just an absolute banger of a race. And listen, I'm not going to be one of those to sit there and say, well, the better trip, Fiercest wins or Sierra Leone wins, whatever. I think I give all credit to Forever Young. He showed up because it took him to show up in order to win this race.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, I here's the deal with Sierra Leone. You know what you're getting. Like, there isn't a better trip. I thought Flavian Pratt rode a absolutely perfect, tremendous, flawless race, but he's a dead closer. You're gonna have that, right? I mean, you're gonna have him way behind. You're gonna have him wide. He got a great trip. Listen, Fierceness, he got a decent enough trip. If he was good enough, or if Forever Young came back just a little bit, he would have got him. It's hard to catch a horse when he's full of run and in front in the stretch, right? So,
yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. You're right. Let's say right here, once Mindframe gets out of the way, his stablemate, once he comes inside or outside, what's your excuse, right? I mean, because he didn't gain. Not only did he didn't gain ground on Forever Young, he got outran by Sierra Leone as well.
Yeah, I mean, the excuse is you're not good enough.
I mean, listen, was it an ideal trip for Fierceness? No, but he also didn't get an ideal trip in the Pacific Classic, and that didn't matter.
No.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm like, whatever. I feel like that does a discredit to Forever Young and how brilliant he was, because I don't think he got it given to him by any stretch. I thought it was I couldn't have gone better for the connections for the horse. I mean, they showed up, and how cool are the Japanese connections? They're already talking about where they're going to run with him next. They want to come back to the Breeders' Cup again next year with him. They're like, but I don't know if you saw the quotes. They're like, yeah, it's going to be in Kentucky. It might be a little cold though for us. And but yeah, I mean, just a cool horse, man. He's been all over the world, all these big races, ran in the Derby. Even though he's a Japanese horse, he's become a household name in terms of horse racing household names over here in the United States for all the races he runs in. And it was cool to see him, finally break through in one of those huge races, be in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
I didn't see that quote, but that's great. I love that. Listen, it's sometimes you walk away from a race if you didn't pick the right horse, but you go, well, God, I couldn't have ran any better with the one I had. So it is what it is. And that was one of those races where it's just like, how in the world can you run any better and get beat, with Sierra Leone? And it's because Forever Young was listen, you can talk about Saudi Cup all you want, and it was an unbelievable race. You don't see that hardly ever. I think this one was just as good. I really do. Because, the thing about the Saudi Cup, it was a horse that he ran down that was mostly on the turf. You know what I mean? So that was part of it too. And it's a track that he obviously loved over there. This was tough, and this was different. He wasn't running down a horse. He was having to hold off a horse this time. So it was awesome.
Yeah, that was. I mean, he was all right. So the question becomes now, right? I think I saw it somewhere, but with Sovereignty of One, do you think he would have got the job done even over this level of I'm still I say maybe, but I'm not gonna sit here and be like kind of like I said earlier with Precise, like, oh, she would have won. No, I can't do it with this one because this was they ran huge, and it would have taken a huge effort, a big number by him in order to win.
He did run a 115 buyer in the Travers, but that was against nobody's. He has buyers that's the largest one, obviously, but his Belmont, I think, was like 108 or whatever. So he had run races that were in the realm. They beat Journalism kind of a similar margin that he beat Journalism last time they ran in the Belmont. I think he's there. I don't know if he wins. I think he is in that pack with the three older horses. I think we can confidently say he would have been ahead of Journalism, but where does he finish? 1, 2, 3, 4? I don't know. I think he gets a trip kind of similar to what Forever Young, Fierceness, Mindframe got. I think he's there. I don't know. And I thought after this race, I maybe not have to say that, but I'm not sure.
This was my favorite quote, by the way, after the races. This was literally from Florent Giroux. I mean, he literally said this. All I wanted to do was make it fair for everyone. He rode, contrary thinking. Make sure we didn't disturb anyone, but Sierra Leone just couldn't get there. So he's basically saying my partner, the reason I'm in the race, he couldn't get, like, I tried to do everything I could. He just didn't get there. So it's like the way it's worded and the way he worded it, it's like it just is literally outlining, hey, I was in the race in order to set it up for, which we all knew. But it's just funny how because even earlier, Chad's like trying to, hey, yeah, like I put horses in before and they've run well, and trying to make it like it's not what it is. It's like, no, you're he literally set it up for the horse.
He says that, and he runs 23 to the opening quarter. That's the thing. It's like you had one job, and he ran 23 to the opening quarter. Yes, I know he sped up, but it's like, what are you doing? I don't know. I hate that guy. But yeah, that was a hilarious quote. There's no doubt about it. A very hilarious quote. Made it very obvious. So, yeah, it's I don't think it is one of those things. It didn't work. I mean, it worked the one time when he missed the break and he flew up there like halfway through. Sierra Leone did win that one, but the other two races he was in, it didn't work. He didn't win. So, worth a try, but at the end of the day, I just don't think it had much influence.
Yes, Brandon, he is definitely sovereignty is still cinched for the 3-year-old honors, because I mean, listen, as good as journalism ran in this race, and he was the best 3-year-old of the race, it's hard to give it to him whenever he's been just smoked by this same horse over and over again. That's being Sovereignty. So Sovereignty's going to win 3-year-old honors. The question becomes, and I think I know the answer, did Forever Young's win solidify Sovereignty as horse of the year?
Yeah, for sure. He should win 3-year-old of the year by unanimous vote, but it's horse racing voters, so who knows? But horse of the year, I would say Sovereignty will win it. Get 80 to 90% of the votes, I would imagine. I don't know how we're supposed to vote I don't vote for it, but how people are supposed to treat Forever Young, because he's not really our horse. So, if you'd ran 4 or 5 times or even 3 times over here, I think we could say he's our horse, but he just ran once. And to me, like, he's from Japan, so we probably shouldn't vote for him.
I think you might disagree. It's tough. Like if Sovereignty, if the scenario I'm about to lay out would have happened and Sovereignty ran in this race and he won, Forever Young won, then maybe. But like, let's just say like he came over and ran in the Whitney, Forever Young did. Mm-hmm. Let's just say, and won, right? And then did this in the Classic and won. I think you can make a case for him as horse of the year. Now, I don't love it, because if you only ran twice over here, and then add on, he did what he did in Saudi and whatever, but I don't love it. But if he did that and beat Sovereignty, that's the key part, beat Sovereignty also in the Classic, I think with just 2 races, he could have got it. But I just think not having the resume over here, it is a U.S. honor, right? Horse of the year. And the fact that we didn't even get to see Sovereignty, he didn't lose, I guess is the best way to put it. It's hard to go against him. Now, if Fierceness or something would have won the race, Sierra Leone maybe could have got their conversation. I just don't think you can with the one win. Yeah,
you almost wish there was some kind of rule or requirement to where you didn't like leave it in the hands of the Eclipse voters to try to decipher what to do. Like a horse, a 3-year-old award or an older horse award, you have to have 3 starts in the United States before you can vote for the horse. And then if it's a 2-year-old award, you have to have 2 starts, right? Just because there's less time. So, but it's a weird situation, because like, I get the people out there is like, he won the biggest race, he's the horse of the year. And it's like, but he's not, he only ran once in this country. Is he the horse of the world? Yeah, for sure. He won the Saudi Cup and he won the Breeders' Cup Classic. But this is a award for horses that run in the United States. And I don't know how you treat him. I don't know what I would do, honestly. I vote in a poll and I had Sovereignty. So I guess I would vote for Sovereignty for horse of the year. Older horse of the year is really interesting too. because like Sierra Leone has 1 win, Fierceness has 2 wins. Those are kind of your horses you would think about. Nisos, I guess the horse you might think about. And then Forever Young, he might win Older Horse of the Year with just 1 race. But again, I don't really know how you handle horses like that.
Here's the thing. Because Fierceness only has 2. Sierra Leone only has 1 win this year.
Correct.
And Forever Young has 1 win. And he beat both those horses.
Yeah.
Now, I guess the question becomes, do you give just pure number of wins over who you beat kind of thing? Because in my mind, it's like, yeah, that's true. But Forever Young beat them both and won the Classic. And we don't have like a top older horse that's done a lot this year, like multiple wins like that. So I'd give it to Forever Young. But if you're going off of the kind of the logic, which is kind of backwards to what we just said with the Horse of the Year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if Sovereignty didn't that's an impossible question, I guess. Like, let's just say the Kentucky or the Triple Crown was a mess and we had multiple horses win, different horse won the Travers, whatever. No clear 3-year-old standout. No, do you think then you could make a case for Forever Young? Do you think Forever Young, I guess the better way to ask it, will Forever Young be second in voting for the Horse of the Year?
I mean, probably will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I don't really know how they'll handle it, but yeah, I could see that being the case. I know what you're saying. I think Forever Young could win Horse of the Year under the scenario you just laid out. I don't really know. I think it's an interesting experiment. How will they handle that? How will they look at this? And will they vote for him? I don't know. I don't know the answer. And again, I don't know how you should handle it either, right? It's kind of like, let's pretend there was a Japanese golf league. Okay, let's just pretend it. And their best Japanese golfer came over here just for the U.S. Open and won the U.S. Open and then never came back again. Is he the United States Golfer of the Year if they have that award at the end of the year? That's kind of the way I kind of look at that. I don't know. I don't think so, but
I don't think so. Yeah,
he did win the biggest race, or in this case, the biggest tournament, if that happened. Maybe. I don't have an answer. I don't know how I don't know how we're supposed to treat that. I don't know.
Well, the problem is you're going to leave it up in the hands of a bunch of random dudes and women that don't, they all will look at it differently. And but I do think, Sovereignty I do think he'll win Horse of the Year. How about this? Bookham Dano as champion older horse. Do you think there's a possibility that could happen?
No, I don't. I think he's going to be the sprint. He's going to be in the sprint. And I think that's another.
That could be a little dicey, though.
This is another weird thing because Bookham Dano has been the champion older sprinter all year, but he wasn't the champion older sprinter at the Breeders' Cup because he wasn't there. And the horse that won looked amazing. To me, what Bookham Dano did, though, deserves the champion older sprinter. But again, how are you supposed to handle that as a voter?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Part of you is like, dude, you should have ran in the race. I mean, if you wanted to win the award, you should have ran in the. It's not like you got hurt.
Well,
I wanted to be careful with him, whatever. But I mean, if you want to win the award, and you got to know that. I mean, like that sprinter who won the Breeders' Cup, he's a beast,
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like it was some random horse. I mean, he's been good. So I think that becomes a tough situation for them to vote for.
And I think it's very interesting as well. Like these Eclipse Awards. What meaning? I don't know how to say this, but it's like, do people think about that when they're campaigning a horse as much anymore? It feels like no. Maybe I'm wrong on that though. It feels like the Eclipse Awards are more talking points for fans a lot of times.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to the last 3 here real quick, Halterman. Let's go to the Breeders' Cup Mile because, again, we had multiple races after. Notable speech, maybe one of the better performances was one of the better performances of the day. Wins, gets redemption here. after losing last year. Notable Speech wins, paying $720. Formidable Man was second. The Lion in Winter, another good horse we liked, was third. Rhetorical ran well, just not good enough. Finished fourth. What do you think of this one? This was, I mean, I had a big double from the Classic with Forever Young into him here. I also had a win bet on him here. He's the number 2 horse. This was dramatic, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he looked like the best horse all the way around there. He looked like he was absolutely loaded. It's just when it was time to go, oh boy, we don't have room. And so thankfully for you and for William Buick and Notable Speech and everybody that backed him, the rail did open up for him and he's able to get the job done. You're going to see it in a minute. But like turning for home, it's like, okay, you're the best. I can tell you're moving the best. Where are you going to run? And I thought, what Appleby did this year with him to kind of, because last year they lost this race in a feeling you should have won it and you lost. I think he just prepared him so much better this year. He brought him over here to run at Woodbine once, getting him a little bit of an idea. So I thought he was just fantastic, and I was super, super scared as well.
Honestly, I liked Notable. I've always liked Notable. I had him last year. He kind of burned me last year, burned a lot of us last year. I kind of went into this thinking, I don't know if I can use him this year, if I'm going to pick him, And the more we got closer and the more I heard Appleby talk about him and the way he was coming into the race, and you made a good point of that, of how he was coming into the race versus last year, I was like, you know what? I think he's going to fire. I really do, because Appleby wouldn't just bring him back over here if he didn't think he was going to redeem himself after losing last year. And my goodness, right? I mean, this is such a right. It went from so it was around of the right here. Like, oh shit, it's gonna be brutal. He has nowhere to go with the horse. He's locked in. Get through, please. Oh, he got through, and then you're like, oh, please get through this one now.
Yep.
And it just opened up, and gosh, and then the rail went away for there a second. He was gone.
I was back and forth on a lot of different horses here, and I had that same thing that you said, and I was just like, I just feel like he's so much better prepared, and it just felt like to me they were pissed that they lost last year, and they targeted this thing. It's like, we're winning it this year, period, and they did it. And you're right, so nervous right here. I'm like, oh God, he's running like he's got horse, but where is he going to go? He passes this one. And you're even like, he's not even going to get by this stupid horse right here. And it's like, okay, he squeezed by. Now, please just don't shut off the rail on him right here.
Because there's one of those moments where you're like, I know he's the best horse. You can just tell this horse is absolutely loaded. But please get through. Please have run or have the spot 2 run. Because if I know if he gets through, he's winning. And he did.
Yep.
So Notable Speech was freaking awesome. That made my day when he hit that. Plus had the double there. I was like, all right, we're good. We're profitable both days. This is awesome. But now let's get to your biggest bet of the day. And it wasn't the Classic. It wasn't that race. It was the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile with a horse that I think we all are very well aware of, Nisos. And maybe not the horse you thought he would be battling with the whole entire race, basically. But his stablemate, Citizen Bull, this turned into an absolute slugfest late in the race. Nisos got the job done over Citizen Bull. But, man, this is a performance that, Citizen Bull got nothing for the win because he didn't win, but he ran his absolute ass off.
He did, yeah. This was, I was going to be profitable, but not just largely profitable if he loses. Talk about Nisos if he loses this race, but if he won, it was going to make it, a very good Breeders' Cup. And I just kind of went with the logic. Look, if he runs in the race, he's going to run. He's going to fire. They're not putting him out there to not fire. Bob Baffert was talking really high on him, so my confidence grew. Guess what, Jared? He ran a tremendous race and still almost lost because that damn Citizen Bull ran his ass off here. Boy, does he love Del Mar. He's tough to beat here at Del Mar, right?
They absolutely, listen, he did his job, meaning he took care of Full Serrano, who was awful in this race, and really just put it to him. And the Full Serrano said, the hell with this. I'm out. he did his job, but then the only thing he didn't do was if you're Nysos, you're like, hey, now you're supposed to stop. You're supposed to stop because I'm supposed to win this thing.
Right.
And he said, screw you.
Yeah.
I've done this whole thing. Look how fat. Look how they're going sub 45. I mean, they're absolutely they're flying for a sprint. They're going the mile here.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't look back.
At this point, I'm like, oh, Nysos by 4.5. That horse was going to get tired. He just never did. And even right here, I'm like, oh, yeah, we're firing. We're firing. We're good. We're good to go. This isn't going to be any trouble. Look at him. He's starting to gain little by little. It's like, oh, this is going to be a measured win for 2-3 links. No big deal. And even right here, I'm like, okay, you got him. And then it's like, uh-oh. Citizen Bull, it's like, uh-oh, this is going to be a problem. I'm still feeling confident, but like with every stride, I'm getting, little by little. It's like, uh-oh. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. I was like, I think you got it. Like, I think you got it, but it's I'm not sure.
It was like one of those, like, where you're never... It's like you never thought you were going to lose, but at the same time, you never thought you were going to win either. Like it's just,
it was like mid stretch where I was finally like, may lose this,
It was right.
But yeah.
Here is when I went from like, right. So here I'm fully confident.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, my bet in the race was not a win, which was dumb, but at the scratch of Wadabario killed your odds too.
Yeah.
But it was also like I had a full Serrano. I had Nysos over full Serrano's cold. So at this point, I'm like, I'm not cashing that. I'm rooting directly for Halterman now at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's got it. This is over. He's going to win. Like you said, like look at him. By the time they pan over back to the other angle, he's going to be in the lead.
Yeah.
And then you're like, uh-oh, hang on. And then when you see him going after him a little bit, you're like, he's not giving the lead up here very easily. Yeah. Then I knew we were in for a little bit of a battle here. To run him down, because look how far ahead they are, everybody. To run this horse down, it took a big effort from Nysos.
It did. I said it a few times. It reminded me of National Treasure versus Cody's Wish. It really reminded me of that a whole lot, where you had a Baffert on the lead who just wasn't giving in, and you had Cody's Wish coming after him, and it was just a hell of a race, and that's what it reminded me of. The one thing that calmed me, I was pretty sure he got the bob because it seemed pretty clear, even watching it live there, that he got it. So I wasn't sweating out the nose bob, but just the fact that it's like, my God, that was way more tougher than it should have been. And it wasn't because he didn't fire, it was because that stupid Citizen Bull ran that great race.
I thought you got the bob. I was pretty confident you got it. It was just like, damn, that really happened. That was Citizen Bull. He just, because that, and to you especially, I think I even texted you this right after. I was like, of all the horses that could have been, like, if Full Serrano did that, you'd have been like, and beat you, say, you'd be like, well, I mean, what can you do? He ran huge again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for Citizen Bull to be the one to do it to you, you may have wanted to jump off the nearest bridge, because that horse is a horse you've loved from early on, but it's been a frustrating horse to say the least. And that would have been a brutal way to go down to that horse.
Yeah, I had a little saver double on Full Serrano too. So if it's him, it's like I don't make quite as much, but it's still pretty decent. And yeah, that's kind of what I thought would happen. I thought they'd turn for home. Full Serrano be in the lead, and it's Nysos. So yeah, Full Serrano with Citizen Bull. Yeah, not surprised.
All right, let's go to the last race of the day, the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Gazora wins this race, paying $20.20 for the first place. She feels pretty. Ran a nice race again. I thought she was going to get it done top of the stretch. Like, oh, she's going to do it. 480 for second. Diamond Rain finishing third for Appleby. Speaking of Appleby, Cinderella's Dream, the favorite, didn't run great here, finishing 8th. The horse that I picked to win the race, 9th. See the Fire didn't run great either. Mission of Joy wasn't that great either. It wasn't a race that I particularly loved anyways. I didn't have a lot of confidence in, I guess, is the best way to say. But Gazora, I kind of kicked myself a little bit after this one, because I was like, you know what? I should have got there with this one.
Same. It was all around disappointing for me for several reasons. Number one, I ended up on Cinderella's Dream and she just did not fire. It was a horrible race from her by her standards. I had Gazora on top for a bit, but I also had like 4 or 5 different horses on top for a bit, so I was switching this one around a lot. But yeah, I mean, I could have got there at Gazora. Also, once Cinderella's Dream didn't fire, I started watching She Feels Pretty, and that's a horse I love. And I was disappointed because I thought she was going to get it, and then she got passed. So all around, this was just kind of a disappointing end to a great Breeders' Cup. I do want to give a lot of credit to the winner, though. I thought Gazora ran a tremendous race because I thought She Feels Pretty laid it on the line here and just wasn't quite good enough. So major credit to Gazora. I should have stuck with her when I had her there. Like I said, one of the 5 or 6 I had on top at one point. Didn't do it. I did have play in the pick 4, so at least we got that home. But yeah, it kind of a disappointing end. I thought, man, for a second, She Feels Pretty was going to do it.
Yeah, I just had a small win bet on See the Fire. I think the horse was like, well, at one point was pretty high odds, 10-1 maybe or so. But once I knew that horse wasn't running or wasn't going to get there, I'm with you. She Feels Pretty I was like rooting for her to get home just because I like her. And yeah, I'm right here. I'm like, oh, she's gonna do it.
I know.
Golly, she looked perfect here, and then this 5 just ran huge. I mean, look, I still don't think she's gonna get beat.
I know. I'm like, quit 5, stop, and it's like this last little stretch. Oh no,
that's such a brutal beat because she ran. Gosh, she ran a dominant race, really.
So good, so good. Yep. Such a good race.
But yeah, I mean, not a lot. Again, I think that's a performance that you just get beat by, and yep. Because I do think, Gazora ran really well.
Well, that's the thing. I'm very down about this race, but I don't want to be like, well, let's just forget it because I thought Gazora was fantastic in the race. I thought you do want to give her flowers, so to speak, because she was great. She ran great in this race. But, as a bettor, I'm let down. And as a fan of United States racing, it's like, hey, we're going to finally get one. And it's a horse I've loved all year. And, it got beat. So it's just kind of for me personally, it was just kind of a downer fandom and betting wise.
Yeah. You and I have the 14 there on the inside. You got the 9 on the inside there. Neither horse, I don't know. Really, the 14 was moving more forward towards the end. The 9 was moving backwards towards the end. But either way, neither one of them ran well. And honestly, I had trouble with it. I never considered Cinderella's Dream on top just because I didn't love her. But I also never really got to a horse that I love, which is why I ultimately even resulted in just a simple win bet because I thought the value was there. Because I just didn't like anyone in here, and I didn't really want to play She Feels Pretty at a short price. And this is one of those races that I definitely struggled with, and obviously it showed because I wasn't anywhere close.
This was a race where if it wasn't a Breeders' Cup race, I probably would have not bet it. But when it's the Breeders' Cup, you kind of want to get your opinions, at least give them a chance because the payouts are so good. But if this is like the feature race at Saratoga, whatever day, you might just skip it, because if I'm sitting there and I've got 5 or 6 different horses on top at a certain moment, that's probably a good idea to maybe not actually play it.
Yeah, it's pretty good time.
Just use the pick 4s and pick 5s with it, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good indication that you don't love the race if you can't decide on a horse. And yeah, I mean, it was just one of those races. And another example of one of those races that years past that hey, Chad Brown's got one in here. Boom. Let me sign me up for that one. And, and he just doesn't, doesn't have that horse that you can really depend on. And, the international horse that I guess you could want to depend on didn't. And so, that's just the way it went for that one. But overall, hell of a Breeders' Cup, hell of a 2 days. We talked about in the opening. I mean, we showed every replay here and went back through it, and some really big performances, Nisos and Forever Young. I mean, what a stretch run that was with Ethical Diamond and even really Celia before that with the distaff, and Ethical Diamond into Forever Young, into Notable Speech, into Nisos. I mean, holy shit, just big performance, good racing / big performances over and over again. So that stretch run there of a couple hours was just phenomenal.
Yep, it was great. It was a great Breeders' Cup. Could not have asked for any more. And hopefully we move on to next year. Hopefully we get it just as good, because that's it's always fun when it happens like that.
Do you think there is an opportunity? We haven't really discussed this, but do you think there's an opportunity for us to get a meetup with? Because I did see journalism is going to run again. Is there an opportunity for a sovereignty? Forever young. Fierceness and Mind Frame, they're off to retirement now, which is good for them.
Mm-hmm.
But is there an opportunity we could see a sovereignty journalism forever young type of race like Dubai? I mean, is that possible, you think?
I think so. As long as they keep sovereignty and training, I think that's step number one. And after that, it kind of sounds like Saudi, Dubai. That seems on the table for everybody at this moment. So, yeah, I think it's very possible. But the sovereignty staying in training is step number one. They said they were going to, but will they now? I think so. So, yeah, I think we could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could happen, but again, Dubai is always tricky with if who runs in Saudi, and then do they go back, and do you have the bounce? What will they do? That's the thing about Forever Young and their connections. They love that horse to run. They don't shy away from wherever the race is at in the world. They don't shy away from it, and the horse has already earned and done enough on the track to earn retirement, and they don't have any interest in it at this point. So that's what it's about, man. You love to see it. That horse is going to be a hell of a stallion, by the way.
It's going to be, yeah. I mean, he can do anything. That horse is a beast. There's no doubt about it. So, and listen, Nisos may go to Saudi as well. So there's big races on the horizon, but let's just see if they all stay healthy, all stay in training, everything like that. So, but yeah, I think we could see it. I think we could see Sovereignty matching up against him and amongst other horses.
Yeah, and the look at forward with the 2-year-olds turning 3, and what they look like going in for the Derby Trail. Hell of a Breeders' Cup. Again, thank you everybody for that followed along and the road to it. And we'll take a break from the championships. We'll get back into it, obviously, as we head into our next year. But Breeders' Cup 42, one for the books.
No. Is that it? I thought that was it. That was like the sign-off line.
No, I mean, I got to close it. I got to do my regular closer, but I mean, yeah.
I was ready for the music.
Halterman, yeah. No, I mean, listen, I got to close it out. That's
okay. Close it
for
out.
my OCD-ness when I edited the show. I got to close it. So,
okay.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Check us out at racingdudes.com for our free picks and our premium selections over at the website at racingdudes.com. Again, if you follow along with the Breeders' Cup bets, you made some money. We have premium picks every single day. It's not just for the Breeders' Cup. So if you haven't done so already, head on over to the website. Check out the premium picks. Free picks is all there for you. We're on Twitter at racing_dudes, Instagram, Facebook. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting your favorite podcast channels or podcast players. We also are on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like, notification, and subscribe. We appreciate everybody that's watched us and watched our videos leading up and through the Breeders' Cup. If you haven't done so already, go check out stablestakes.com. We had a fun tournament over the Breeders' Cup before and then during on Friday of the Breeders' Cup. Stable Stakes is fantasy horse racing. It's the coolest game that it's out there. It's not betting on a horse. You're picking connections, you're picking trainers, you're picking jockeys, you're picking sires. You're competing on lineups and competing against other people. Shotty, how much money did you make over the weekend? $500 on Stable Stakes. Yeah, there you go. She believes in her mind it is a printer for money, and that's what she's doing. So and listen, it's so fun. It's easy to play. You don't have to put a ton of effort into it as far as handicapping. Say like, hey, I think Flavian Pratt on Sunday would have been a good bet on that because he won what 6 in a row, 7 races. Yeah. So, I mean, literally, you would have won 200 a day. Stablestakes.com. If you haven't done so already, go check out. We have more. So we had a big campaign with them for the Breeders' Cup or leading up to the Breeders' Cup. We're going to do another one. I mean, it's not going away. So, Shotty, just stay tuned. It might be enough to help pay for your mortgage or your your car payment, whatever it is. Maybe it'll help you. So, Yeah, shoddy. Every time I look on the leaderboard, I scan for. She's like, it's like having the leader in the clubhouse or the best horse of the race. Got to keep an eye on her. Every time I look at the leaderboard, I'm like, where's Shoddy? All right, there she is. Yeah, but fun. You go check out stablestakes.com. Dude, 2Bet Sports was on yesterday. Magic Mike show, I think, will be on tomorrow. So
I think so.
That's the plan. But anyways, Halterman has been real.
It's been fun.
So it's been real fun. What are you going to do with your time now that Breeders' Cup's over?
I'll probably do Aqueduct and Gulfstream and what else is there? Del Mar. It's coming. Santa Anita.
Hey, and next month we have the fantasy league starts. So
fantasy leagues, yeah, it never.
Ted Nafi, unanimous number 1 choice. Is that right?
There's no doubt.
There's no number 2 yet. We don't know who it is. Good luck getting that list together. By the way, I can't come up with 5 horses right now, let alone a list of 50.
Insane.
Woo!
I don't like anybody outside of Ted Nafi this race so far.
This is gonna be the biggest. It's gonna be the biggest gamble for everybody's gonna want that 1 spot this year.
Yeah, 2 through 10 or 11 or how many teams we're gonna have, it doesn't even matter. Like they're interchangeable this year. So
yeah, for real. I mean, honestly, Ted Nafi that's your golden ticket. You gotta have Ted Nafi.
Yep, got it. Well, yeah, right now you do. But again, it's like Ted Nafi's going to run twice and then go to the Derby, so it's not like he's going to earn you a ton of points either. So I don't know. I haven't thought about it yet, but you know what? It's coming quick. We're about a month away. So
yeah, take a break from at least thinking about that, and then
I will.
And then don't overthink it, Halterman. Okay,
because
you and I both know we're going to be with about the 7th to 8th to 10th picks. So that's what I plan on. So, all right, it's going to do it for us. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. We'll talk to you guys next week. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.